Hey guys, today's video is going to be super exciting. We are going to be talking about the Charlotte Tilbury new Pillow Talk Pop Shots, as well as the new Matte Beauty Blush Wands. I'm really excited to share with you guys my thoughts on these. I've been able to test them out for quite some time, so I'm going to be showing you guys how they apply, kind of what to expect if you do want to splurge on one of these items, and also all of the swatches and the comparisons. We do have a lot to talk about today, so let's get right on into it. First off, let's talk about the new Charlotte Tilbury Pop Shots. These are actually the concept that she has revealed over last holiday season when she brought out the original Pop Shots, which had, of course, a very similar packaging compared to the Pillow Talk ones here that we're going to be talking about today. This does have slightly different outer packaging there's actually multicolored little gems in the outside of this one, whereas the gems on this one are just kind of purples and pinks. So the new Pillow Talk ones are slightly different for exterior packaging, but they do have that really lovely CT logo in the center. They feel weighty in the hand, so I don't believe that they feel cheap or anything, and they shouldn't, because these are pricey, guys. But people are buying them, believe it or not, because the Pop Shots from the holidays did sell out, and they were limited edition, I believe, so they are currently not available. These Pillow Talk Pop Shots, one of them already sold out in the pre-sale. So when she actually did a pre-launch for early access, that one was already gone. It was the ultraviolet multi-dimensional one, which is this one. I was super lucky to get both of these in PR, as well as the whole range of the matte beauty wands. So thank you to the brand for sending them over. There's quite a difference between this shade, the ultraviolet shade, versus the Pillow Talk Diamonds shade, which is the other one that's actually still in stock on her website. I haven't seen them at Sephora yet. I've just seen them on her website, but lots of questions as well after I posted on Instagram the swatches of these and how it compares to the other shades that she released in the holiday season. So we're going to be talking about the dupes, but teaser, spoiler alert, there isn't a dupe for this one. It's actually wildly different than the other shades. Just pulling up on Charlotte Tilbury's website, these Pop Shots retail for $34 American dollars or 41 Canadian dollars a piece. So that's why they are considered, in my opinion, like a treat. You obviously do not have to purchase this if you think this is completely out of your comfort zone. For me, these are lovely when it comes to just treating yourself to something special. Now, when it comes to the types of finishes between them, they're wildly different. This Pillow Talk Diamonds one is the first one. It's actually on the other side. There we go. This side of my eye. It's very beautiful with that gorgeous glitter. You can see that there's quite a shimmery aspect to this one. This one also feels very textured upon a swatch. When you actually apply it with a fingertip, you will get a teeny bit of fallout. It's not terrible considering how shimmer heavy this is, but it is something that I saw a teeny bit on the top of my cheekbone. Tons of shimmer to this one, and you can see that I also use a brush for the outer edges as well as to build up this look a little bit. So this is a similar type experience to the ones from the holiday, I would say, because they have that same kind of glittery texture. If you guys are familiar with the ones from the holiday, they just feel similar texture-wise. They kind of feel like they've got a little bit of that grit. It's still really, really smooth. When you apply it, they seem to have a nice gel consistency that's underneath the pigment. So when you swipe, it is very smooth, but when you actually kind of rub your hand together like this, you can sort of feel those glitter particles. That's kind of what this Pillow Talk Diamonds one is, and you can see that I've got it applied all over the lid as well as on the bottom lid, but there's a ton of shimmer in this one. So it's definitely a different experience, but one that's more similar to the holiday. This one is actually really gorgeous. It does last a long time as well. And of course, with the Urban Decay Primer Potion, this does a great job adhering for even longer of a time, literally stretching into the 12-hour mark. Now let's talk about the ultraviolet shade, which it just pains me because it's sold out. These are limited edition as well, so I hope you're able to get your hands on it. I'm hoping she restocks this ultraviolet shade one more time because it really just disappeared very quickly. This is a completely different type of pigment inside of this pot. It's the ultraviolet multi-dimensional shade. And you can tell that this one on my eye even has a totally different look. Not just the shade itself, but it's not at all as glitter forward as the Pillow Talk Diamonds is. Despite the fact that this one has a lot of glow, is very, very beautiful, and even just the one shade, it has a ton of dimension, right? You do have that gorgeous, almost blue-purple element with some of those ultraviolet, you know, pinky elements as well. This is a very beautiful shade, so I can see why this one sold out so quickly. This feels more smooth and more powdery compared to the Pillow Talk Diamonds, which has more of that grit. And grit, it's a strong word, but it is that textured sort of feel. It's not rough by any means. It's just more textured, more shimmer forward, of course. This one is just, you can see, like the finishes are so drastically different, and both are flattering in their own ways. These pop shots are only going to be exclusive to her site. It says so far anyway. They're limited edition, exclusive to Charlotte Tilbury's website and the Wonderland stores. So if you are in LA, I know for sure there's one there. I think there's one in Dubai, if I'm not mistaken. So those two stores will also have them in store, but it doesn't look like they're going to be coming to Sephora, unfortunately. She claims that they are very easy to wear. One swipe and you have a look together. Now, one swipe is not entirely accurate in my opinion. I do think, of course, the user-friendliness is very, very high for these. You can do one swipe, but I find I'm layering it a couple of times to make sure that the opacity is even. Just because I'm using my fingertip and or brushes, sometimes it shears out a little bit and sometimes it's a little bit heavier in certain spots, and so I just need to blend it out with a brush. But when it comes to like one swipe and done, for the most part, yes, it's a very, very easy to wear shadow. This is very beginner friendly in my opinion. You could even use these shades with some of her other palettes if you would like, but I do think that the price is a little bit of a sticky factor to most people, so if you are not a fan of that, that is okay. But if you are, I think you'll really enjoy them. They're so easy to use. Both of these are very beautiful as well and wildly different, so you can get both if you want to like extra splurge. Let's get into the comparisons when it comes to Pillow Talk Diamonds, which, because I think the ultraviolet shade here, it's not at all similar to anything else, like period, compared to the other pop shots from the holiday, which the range was quite large for the holiday launch. This one is so unique. So honestly, there's no even close duplicates or even people thinking that it's close to anything else. When it comes to the Pillow Talk Diamonds, I got a lot of questions on how this one compares to two shades in particular. One of them is Rose Gold, which is from the holiday collection. You can see already that this one is much more gold and not as pink, okay? So that's already right off the bat the indicator between these two. This is for sure a golden rose, whereas this one is still significantly pinker compared to this one. I will show you the swatches, of course. Then we also have the Lover's Diamond, which is much more richer of a red tone. So you can see that both of these were potentially going to be pretty close to the Pillow Talk Diamonds shade. You can see here that they are wildly different. These to me don't even look at all like they could be the same shade. Perhaps Charlotte grabbed some elements from each of them to create Pillow Talk Diamonds. That's very possible. Now let's talk about the matte blushes here. I do demo all four of them in today's video, especially the darker shades, because I do know there are a ton of other creators online here. Oh, they're backwards. There are a ton of creators already who I admire who have already tested these, and I love that so many of us have tested them, so you guys can see on a number of different skin tones and application styles as to how they all look, but not as many of us have done the entire range. So I was able to do the entire range just given I was able to receive these in PR. I actually bought them all myself, hilariously, as well before I got the PR, so just so you guys know, I also spent my money. The PR wands are going to be in future giveaways as well. I didn't want to waste them or anything, so I do have some giveaway prizes for a future giveaway. But when it comes to these, let's test them out. These are the exact same price as the other wands. So the beauty wands Charlotte Tilbury is majorly popular for. There's some that are blushes, there's some that are highlights, and there's some that are bronzers or contours, depending on what type of shade you like to use for that. But they've been wildly successful for her. They've been duplicated by many other brands. It's just a sensation when it comes to her brand. So coming out with matte products is very genius in my opinion, and really riding that wave of the popularity. You can see here it makes it very easy to apply. You just stamp it on, or what I do is I just take one of my brushes like this, just like a regular slanted synthetic brush. You could also use natural haired. And I just like squeeze some on the tube here and just tap like this into the product and apply it to my cheek. That's the best way for me to maintain control. Otherwise, if I'm gonna go like this and squirt the heck out of this, you can get a ton of pigment very fast. So that's my tried and true method for all of these products here, and so far so good. It's been very helpful to not waste any of it. Unlike the pop shots from this Pillow Talk collection, these matte beauty wands are available at Sephora and other retailers as well. So if you are interested, just keep in mind there is one shade, which is this one, that is exclusive to Charlotte Tilbury's website. This is Pillow Talk. So this shade you can only get on her site, but the other three here are available at many other retailers. So price point wise, let's see. I know they're the same as the other wands. They are 42 American dollars, 52 Canadian a piece. Pillow Talk Peach Pop is the first one. This has to be one of my favorite shades for sure. When it comes to applying this one to the cheek, I just go very light-handed first, taking some of that product right off of the applicator onto a brush and then applying it to my cheek. This is a very flattering shade. The peach is actually quite rich in this one, like a peachy pink. So it's not a super orangey color, which I really like. People have been asking me what's my favorite shade, and this is definitely up there. I think this is one of my favorites for sure. I just really think this is a lovely summer, spring color. And the finish of these, it is matte, like more matte than the blush wands, for instance, like the Pinkgasm, Peachgasm, etc. But they almost have a bit of a sheen to them, so they're not fully matte. They're not fully like 100% matte. If you're thinking about a 100% matte finish foundation, it's not quite like that. There's still a teeny bit of a sheeniness to it, and I think that really adds to how natural they look on the skin. The next one is Pink Pop, and Pink Pop is the most pale, or the fairest one. It's the lightest pink. This is also lovely on the cheeks. When it comes to my favorite shade, I don't think it's my favorite, but I still think it's a lovely one. So if you are interested in this shade, this is a gorgeous one too. On the right side of my hand, we have the matte blushes, or the matte with that sheeniness. On the left, we have the blush wands that are the glowy finish. The top one is Pinkgasm, the bottom one is Peach, so that's like the left side. The right side is the Pink Pop, and then the Peach Pop is the bottom right. So you can see that it's quite pinky compared to Peach, right? It's that rich coral peachy color. It's not a traditional peachy shade like the glowy one is, but you can see the finish is definitely different. There's quite a bit of a glow, and look at that, like how it flashes, right? Like right here, it looks way different than here, just because of the shine on that left side, right? So there's all of that going on. On this part of the swatch, with the light not hitting it, Pinkgasm is in the top left corner, and it still has a little bit of that like rose pink, versus the Peach Pop is still pinky, like more coral. So there's no duplicate shades in this new line compared to the glowy counterparts that's in the existing blush wands line. I think all of them are such flattering colors, and of course these two, the Pinkgasm, Peachgasm, these guys have such a beautiful glow, tons of gorgeous shine to these. They're wildly different in finish than the matte shades, of course, because they're matte versus glowy, but the matte still has that bit of sheeniness to sort of keep that cheek looking nice and juicy and moisturized and not too flat or dry looking. Let's get to the other shades. We have the exclusive charlottetilbury.com Pillow Talk shade. This one is lovely also. It's a little bit on the deeper side, a bit mauvey as well. It's so, so gorgeous. You can see that I'm applying this the exact same way. I went one layer at a time. These are very, very pigmented, but they blend out like a dream. So if you do happen to put a little bit too much, you can absolutely buff it out. But this is something that I would go a little bit light-handed and build from there versus kind of pressing directly into my skin. I know lots of girls do that, and that's totally fine. Like to kind of go directly and do this on the cheek. That's fine. If you don't mind that technique, that's great. How this product is built with that sponge applicator, you should be able to buff it into the cheek without even using a brush. But I find with these that the pigment can come out quickly, and then it's very concentrated on the end of that brush. So when you're actually pressing it in, you could potentially be dumping more and depositing more onto your cheek. So it's not actually blending, but just getting more and more intense. So just be careful with that. That's why I use the brush. It's a perfect technique for me. And this is the last shade. This is Dream Pop. This one is by far the darkest shade, so I went the lightest with this one, but it's still very, very gorgeous. It's very beautiful on my skin. You can see because of the depth of that shade, it can very easily get quite dark. So that's the only thing that I would advise. This one is described as a cherry pink, and rightfully so. These are still very richly pigmented blushes, no matter what shade you use. But when it comes to just how bright this cherry pink color is, I was just like extra careful with this one. Still a beautiful shade though, and one that I do think you can wear if you have more fair skin. You just have to go lighter handed. It's a very beautiful color, as are the rest. I think she killed it with this collection. Charlotte has a way of creating very beautiful products, and clearly all the other brands want to duplicate her, so she's doing something right? Thank you so much for watching. I hope this review was helpful, and we will chat in a future video. Bye guys!